Chapter 26. Lapidoth, husbands who motivate and encourage their wives to soar like eagles. Lapidoth, the husband who did not interfere with his wife's ministry or career. Lapidoth, like Joseph, makes it into this chapter of wonderful husbands because of his ability to support his wife in a time when it is rare to find high-ranking women working in ministry or in public office. Today, Lapidoth would get an earful from many men advising him to take over his wife's ministry so that she can sit down at home and focus on being a good wife. Some people are of the school of thought that God only used Deborah because there was no man readily available. This not only reduces the status of all women to second-class citizens in the kingdom, but it also means that God fails to be sovereign and is taken by surprise by the lack of committed men. How utterly ridiculous! Lapidoth, like Joseph, is not mentioned much as God sets about how to show the relevancy of women to kingdom advancement and to show the quiet power of a secure husband whose wife is in a leadership position. It is easy to see why Deborah is attracted to him, a man who can embrace anyone in leadership so long as they are competent enough to get the work done. He too is a rarity among men as he sees the uniqueness of Deborah's position in ministerial leadership when Israel is at its worst political time in history. Perhaps what makes him stand out as a husband the most is that his wife is whom God has chosen for the role. While others might see him as a man who gives his wife too much freedom and liberty, they fail to recognize that he is a man led by Spirit. Lapidoth is the understanding husband who is more flexible than the rigid Pharisees of Jesus' time. He has no need for the limelight or acknowledgement from anyone. He is satisfied by simply being titled Deborah's husband. In today's world, he would be fondly called First Gentleman, the husband of the first female president, or Lapideborah. He completely understands his wife more than she does herself. He is the type who allows her to work, knowing that she has great wisdom and knowledge to bring to any company fortunate enough to have her. Such a husband will support his wife's ministry, not just financially, but shows his love by attending her programs. He allows his wife the opportunity to explore and discover herself. He is the husband whose wife tells him that she wants to run for president, and he becomes her biggest supporter by campaigning on the road beside her. He is an awesome individual as a husband who lets his wife quit her job so that she can start her own business, while he takes on a second job to help her accomplish her dream of business ownership. He is a husband who is so symbolic of Christ that when other women complain about their husbands, she has nothing negative to say in response. Lapidoth is the husband that every woman, Christian or not, wishes to marry. He is the husband who helps his wife tap into her hidden potential. What joy he has when he sees her successful. This rare species of a husband makes it into this chapter because he accepts Deborah for who she really is. No one ever asks what would have happened if he had denied her or prevented her from fulfilling her calling as both minister and leader of Israel. Suppose he had told her that no woman had ever held the position of judge in Israel. Imagine if he had told her that it was impossible to juggle the responsibilities of prophetess, judge, and wife. Think of it. What if he had asked her to choose between their marriage or her ministry? Many insecure men have made such an unreasonable request. What would the modern church have advised her, even in the times that we live in? I cringe at the thought of what Israel would have endured and how many lives would have been lost, physically and spiritually, if Deborah had been married to a spiritually blind and deaf husband. What would have happened to Israel without her leadership and guidance? The story of Deborah would have ended very differently, with the children of Israel remaining enslaved. But the real tragedy is the thousands of modern-day Deborahs whose husbands are slowly killing the gifts of God in their wives and will sadly have to answer to Him on the day of judgment. However, the Lapidoths of our time have nothing to fear when it comes to God's wrath, as they are the husbands who let their wives soar ever so high till they are flying among the eagles. Lapidoth is the ultimate husband, supporter, encourager, and the midwife of Deborah's life. Nothing can go wrong while he remains forever in her corner. Lessons learned. Lapidoth is an example of what a husband should be like to his wife. He should be her best friend, brother, father, cousin, lover, counselor, and minister. He should symbolize what Christ represents to the church. For every Christian woman who wants to marry Lapidoth, she must know the difference between an Ahab and a Lapidoth, as they might look alike, but they are not the same. Lapidoth is a man who embraces change easily and is honored that God has chosen his wife to be a trailblazer, while the likes of Ahab's wife is a destroyer of people and an entire nation. Finally, to those who want to marry Lapidoth, the requirement and standard is very high. It means that God is calling you to a special assignment that will cause the lives of many to be changed and liberated. It is most likely a place that may have never experienced a woman of your status or level. But not intimidated, because if you have God and Lapidoth in your corner, and with them both you can conquer the world. Reference: Judges 4:4.